stay tuned for a very important public service message from the United States Department of Defense. Mr. Tuft, excuse me, sir. You're on.
Yes, good evening. This is William Howard Tuft, the 14th, speaking to you tonight on a matter of great importance to our nation and its future. For the past 5 years, it has been my great privilege and honor to serve as your Deputy Secretary. During this period, I know that you have heard serious allegations of mismanagement in the Department of Defense. These allegations, which have largely been the result of vicious leaks to the Washington Post by traitorous members of the staff bureaucracy, would actually have you believe that the Department of Defense is not spending your tax dollars in the most economical and efficient manner. That the department is, perish the thought, mismanaged and unable to set priorities on weapon buying decisions. To address these concerns, the President established a commission on the Defense Acquisition System. I forget its exact name, but it was headed by that Packard fellow. Hewlett Packard, I believe was his name. You know, I remember a Prescott Packard back in my Yale days. Nice chap. Rode on the crew team, as I recall. Chess club, too. But I digress. This Packard Commission, headed by Hewlett, not Prescott, made several outstanding recommendations for measures that the Department of Defense could take to improve its acquisition system. I frankly don't remember the specifics, but it had something to do with streamlining. Oh, and of course, we had to hire that unpleasant Godwin fellow. Disagreeable chap, I must say. Reminded me of a law professor I had back at Yale. But I digress again. But back to those Packard recommendations. We took those proposals most seriously, and we implemented them here in the Department of Defense in the most vigorous manner. And I can tell you tonight that these changes have made a great difference in our acquisition process, as the difference between night and day. Tonight, the time has come to show you, the American taxpayers, the results of our efforts. I'm standing here in the DAB meeting room, the very room where decisions of vital importance on future weapon systems are made, and in the most rigorous fashion, I can tell you. In this room, high-level deliberations about a new weapon system occurred just a few hours ago. And I want to share some recorded scenes from that meeting with you now. As you view this DAB meeting, keep in mind that you are seeing some of the best management minds in the Department of Defense, and some of our most sophisticated, state-of-the-art technology as applied to the automated meeting room where these sessions take place.
These new dabs are so much easier to set up for. Only 4 principles left since Dr. Costello finally implemented streamlining. Dr. Who, Mr. Clutson, General Barrys, and Dr. Costello. Uh-oh, it's almost time to start. In fact, Dr. Who's coming in now. Good morning, Dr. Who. Welcome to the Tuesday Morning Dab.
Ah, good morning. What do we have here? Oh, I see we're doing the ARTL program today. That's one of my favorites.
Excuse me, Dr. Who, but could you please tell me what the ARTL program is? I hate to sound dumb, but I've never heard of it before.
Oh, the ARTL program. ARTL. That's our Advanced Robotic Tank Liberator. It's one of Dr. Costello's favorite programs. But then, that describes all programs.
Oh, I see, sir.
Huh, there must be a mistake here. My program has only one option to vote for. Proceed at full speed. That's a violation of 5000.1, 5000.2, 5000.3.
Good morning, Mr. Clutson. How are
Hi,
you?
Suzanne. How are you? You know, you've really got to talk to Dr. Costello about these 11 o'clock Monday
Yes,
morning
sir. Yes,
dabs.
sir.
I mean, the connections are just terrible. We have
Yes,
to get our
sir.
priorities straight around here. Morning, David.
Good morning, Dr. Clutson. I'm surprised to see you here this morning. I thought we had streamlined this process and you were no longer needed. Your contributions, such as they were, are no longer germane.
Who the hell do you think you are? Who do you think you are to question my being here just because you're so damn close to the deputy secretary? The deputy secretary says, after all, I am total quality management. I'm streamlining. I'm a whole bunch of other things that are essential to what we're doing around here.
Good morning, General Barrys. How are you?
Good morning, Suzanne. Just fine, just fine. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, are we ready to start here this morning?
But aren't we going to wait for Dr. Costello?
Well, I guess we could, but Affable Bob told me this morning that this program was all go, that this dab was a mere formality.
Aren't they all?
Oh, I think we ought to wait just a minute. I'm sure Bob will be here shortly. At our TQM and Ethics Pep Rally this morning, you should have heard the speech he gave. Boy, I'll tell you, he told me that he intended to make a cameo appearance here today. Of course, that assumes that Captain Jack will let him come.
Well, you know, I really don't believe we need him. Why don't we just initial here in this little box that says go?
Wait.
That's what I recommend.
General, there's only one box on this paper.
Doctor Who, that's the essence of streamlining. You see, we don't clutter our minds and our process with unnecessary trivia like options. We just go. We just keep the money flowing. That's true competitive strategies, just like Dennis Klosky told me.
But with all due respect, General, what about 5000.1, 5000.2, 5000.3?
Come on, you and your damn directives. We don't need them anymore, I tell you. We're streamlined
That's
now.
absolutely right. Absolutely right. Under total quality management, we don't let directives, laws, regulations, or anything else stand in our way. We just go. We just shovel money right out the door into industry's coffers. That's the essence of streamlining. Oh, look, there's a message coming up on the screen. Affable Bob has just left his office. I told you he'd be here. He's just a minute away. Well, we may have to wait about another minute because he's obviously stopped to brief the cleaning lady on could cost. You know, that's a pretty important program to Bob. Oh, Bob, how are you? Good morning, Bob.
Bob Costello,
Hi,
used to be
Dr.
with GM. Hi, guys. How are you today? Good to see you.
good to see
Dave,
you.
Bob, Jack, how are you?
Good to see you.
Glad we could all get together today. Well,
Boy, that's a nice hat you've got, Bob.
thanks, Jack. Thanks.
Sir, we were just discussing the program here before the dab, and to keep things short and sweet, I suggest that you just sign right here where it says go, sir.
Sign? Sign what? I thought this was a meeting of the Navy Streamliners. I had a Beitler speech to give.
He writes good ones.
What is this?
Well, sir, it's a dab we're having today, but if you really want to make it short and sweet and get to your speech, I suggest you just sign here.
Not yet. Not yet, Bob. I want to make this program that it has total quality management, that it has could cost, that this program has transparent upgrades, it has value contracting,
Absolutely.
that it has what is this program?
Well,
What are we looking at?
Bob, it's called the ARTL program.
The ARTL? What the hell is that?
Well, Bob, it stands for Advanced Robotic Tank Liberator, and you see, it's the most robustly synergistic system that we've ever designed.
A tank program? That's great. You know, I remember back when I was at GM. We worked on a tank program for a while. Had I mentioned this to you before, Dave? Anyway, some of us were sitting around the executive dining room, and the CEO came in and asked me if I had ever worked on tank design. Well, of course I had for quite some time. A lot of the guys didn't know that, so I explained to them the whole program from the ground up. And had done a lot of work on that in the past, and he had asked me to continue to do some work. Well, I'll get into that. I'll get into that in more detail later. But that's why I am familiar with these Air Force tank programs.
That's all well and good, Bob. It seems we've heard that story somewhere before, so many times before. But we need to get on with this review. I wish to protest right up front here that I haven't received my COEA yet. We can't have a review without a COEA. You know we can't have a DAB without a COEA. You know what your directives say.
Look, Dr. Who the hell cares about your COEA? We, who have been in war, we know what we need to fight to win. We don't need a COEA to tell us.
But General, I understand Doctor Who has been studying martial arts and is even now an expert on fighting to win.
Is that so? Well, I was wondering about your outfit today, Doctor Who. What martial art do you study?
I study the ancient art of bujutsu.
Well, that's very interesting, but how come you wear a black and white uniform?
Well, the colors represent the fundamental principles of issues. To the trained mind, all issues are black or white.
Dave, I noticed your belt. Isn't that an odd color?
Yes. This is the Bujutsu Master's Belt. It represents the eternal struggle between red ink and black ink.
Well, could you give us a demonstration of this Bujutsu?
I'd be happy to.
That'd be interesting.
Yes.
I'd like to see that, Bob. That's a good idea.
Well, we could hurry it up, though. We do need to get this program going.
Excuse me.
No, General. Let's not.
I would like
All due speed.
to demonstrate a famous Bujutsu sword drill. It is a cut drill from the ancient age of Christie. In the old days of the pre-Desark ages, before Milt. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines.
Well, that's a good place to start, Dave.
You know, Doctor Who, I have to admit, that was very impressive, but what exactly was that last spinning move you did?
General, in the Air Force, you would call that checking six. But where I come from, we just call it a spinny.
Well, you know, enough of this frivolity. I mean, we've got to get a program going here, and I repeat, who the hell cares about your COEA?
I agree, General. I agree 100%. Don't you, Bob? Who needs your COEAs? Who needs your analysis? When we have TQM and could cost and streamlining. You know, we've got a whole bunch of things that you just don't understand.
Now, hold it, Jack. Let's get on with the dab. I have 10 speeches to go to. I have 3 parties tonight. I've got to get into my tux.
Bob,
we better make it we really better hurry up.
Well, Bob, I know you've got a lot to do, and that's why I suggest that we make it short here, Bob, old boy. Why don't you just sign right here where it says go?
Well, wait a minute, Bob. Wait, just 1 second. We haven't officially opened this meeting up yet.
What do you mean we haven't opened the meeting yet? We've been here for 5 minutes, and you're saying we haven't opened the meeting yet?
That's right. That's absolutely right. You just don't understand, General. Bob has directed that every USDA meeting, every staff meeting, every DAB, every one of PI's happy hours, you name it, start with a speech on total quality management and the administering of the brand new Oath of Allegiance on TQM. I'm ready to start, Bob, if it's okay with you.
I was wondering why you were a member of the DAB. I thought just 3 of us were sufficient. The user, the procurer, and the token naysayer. I was wondering where you fit in there, Jack.
No, you're right, Jack. We haven't had any words on quality yet. I was wondering why he was here. Well, let's get on with it, Jack.
Okay, sir. Gentlemen, total quality management is a disciplined, synergistic, interactive management process under the astute, forward-looking, innovative, inspired, highly disciplined leadership of the top acquisition executive Bob right here, and it embodies...
Jack, that's great. That's great. You know, as a matter of fact, I was telling Dave here earlier today, when I was a GM, we got into this whole synergistic management thing. There were some of the things that I had initiated at GM. I can remember one day over to lunch, the CEO came over and he said, you know, Bob, we need some synergy in some of these management programs that we have. You're a forward-looking fellow. How about grabbing this one, coming up with something, running it up the flagpole, and see who we can get to salute it?
That's good, Bob.
Well, of course, I'd already had some ideas on this sort of thing, so I went ahead and worked it out. You probably heard of this quality total management program we had at GM. That was my baby. Let me tell you, old Lee Iacocca damn near died when he saw what I'd come up with.
I heard about that.
New GM was ahead of the pack to stay. Anyway, I'll give you fellas the details of that later. Let's get on with this, the tank thing. Let's get on with this.
But before we do, Bob, I think it's important to note, especially for Doctor Who's purposes, that our TQM program builds on exactly the great things you did at GM. You know, our program took what you did and it broadened the focus and changes the present culture that we're dealing with, and we're changing contractual requirements, and it's a crucial element.
Enough of this silliness. Why can't we just get this damn paper signed?
No COEA, no paper signed.
Gentlemen, the goal of TQM is the satisfied, quality-equipped, quality-fed, quality-led soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine.
You know, Jack, you're right on the button with that. You know, you mentioned
thought so,
sailors.
Bob.
You know, and I remember a few years back, I did some work on Navy Chow.
You did?
When I was doing one of my hitches as a four-striper in the Naval Reserve. Bob, I don't know if I'd ever mentioned that to you.
Many times.
I did a
many
hitch
times.
in the Naval Reserve. Well, you know, the Admiral came up and said, Bob, we're having some problems with some Chow things here, and how about taking a look at it? Well, I did. And of course, you know, if we had had some of these quality management things then that we have now, boy, we would have had some fat sailors in the Navy.
Well, there's some today.
Well, anyway, listen, okay. I'll give you some more details on that later. Let's get on with this tank thing here.
Is this meeting officially opened yet?
Well, yes, I think we can proceed now.
Well, in that case, Bob, you're ready to sign this paper, this decision paper right here, aren't you? Right where it says go.
Wait a minute. Must I keep repeating myself? I need a COEA before I can sign up.
Now, Dave, let's be reasonable here. I mean, back when I was the vice president at General Motors, we didn't require things like COEAs. We just went out, we spent the money as we saw fit. That's the essence of total quality management.
That's right.
Streamlining, competitive strategies, value contracting. The very essence. Keep the money flowing. That's
right.
what it's all about. That's the name of the game. I agree with you.
So, have it your own way if you must. But I must warn you, my job is to protect the Deputy Secretary. If I don't get my COEA, I will be forced to go to him and tell him what really goes on in this room.
You know, I thought we'd have this kind of problem, Bob. I warned you about putting people, civilians like this, on the dab. You know, we never lost a war until OSD was created. And I told you that just you and I, alone, could handle these reviews. I would tell you what to buy, and you would buy it. You would keep the money flowing. You see, then we wouldn't have to worry about these COEAs and these temps and all these damn documents that they keep.
But 5000.1 says there will be a COEA.
All right. You want a COEA? I figured you'd be on that soapbox today, so I had it delivered, just in case. Could you please bring in that COEA? Oh. Yes, Doctor Who. You wanted a COEA, and, well, you've got a COEA. Now, Bob, while he's reading that, can we get on with the signing?
Yeah, I do have some very important speeches I have to give this afternoon, Bob.
Don't mind.
David.
I knew it.
Here we go again.
The threat is outdated. It's pre-Gorbachev. The threat is invalid. We can't go on.
You know, I anticipated just that reaction from you, and that's why I brought in the chairman's special advisor on the threat today. Dr. von Klosky, a man of vast experience who can tell you, Bob, about what we need to do with Mr. Gorbachev. Could you please bring in Dr. von Klosky?
What happened to him?
Old war injuries.
Was it Iwo Jima?
Well, not really. It was Stalingrad, I understand.
Poor guy.
Ah, yes. Welcome. Welcome, General. I'm sorry, I mean Dr. von Klosky. Welcome to our DAB here today. You know, I invited you here today to share with us your wealth of knowledge, your years of hands-on experience in dealing with the threat. You know, I felt we needed your personal testimony, Doctor, as we consider the ARTL program in the context of the new Soviet Union under Gorbachev.
Gorbachev? New Soviet Union. Do not waste my time with such rubbish. Do not be taken in by these typical Bolshevik ruses. These are mere media propaganda ploys. You must stand firm. Western civilization demands it of you. Indeed, the entire course of human evolution may depend upon the triumph of your will over such obvious deception.
Please, Doctor. If we must be subjected to you and your kind, can you please get to the point? What is it about the threat that makes this program so important?
The point! The point! Schweinhund, how dare you raise a question with the need that we have to sustain our crusade against the worldwide monolithic scourge of Bolshevism? Do you not understand their methods? Do you not recognize their assiduous pursuit of their perverted goals? If here only in the West we had true patriots, men of vision, men with resolution, men like General Pinochet, General Stresner, Colonel Marcos. Men like this would not fall for such tricks.
Bob, please, can't we focus this meeting on the problem at hand? Is there a threat or isn't there?
Well, gee, Dave, of course there's a threat. You know, I recall one day we were steaming into San Diego Harbor, and the Admiral came up to me. We were at the officers' mess, and he came up and he said, you know, Bob, I think we have a real threat to the ship here. The women of San Diego pose a real threat to this ship. And I said, well, you know, Skipper, we got quality boys on board here, and they can handle it.
Yeah, that's good, Bob.
Well, anyway, there is a threat, especially if we go to Dr. von Klosky's solution.
You're absolutely right as always, Bob. Now, who cares if there's a threat or not? We've got to start with a clean sheet of paper. What we need is total quality management. We've got to expand our view of quality, Bob. We've got to eliminate once and for all these horrible ineffectiveness and all these horrible inefficiencies that these people have put in our acquisition process.
And you're right, Jack. You know, we can get rid of efficiency. We can get rid of ineffectiveness. Gee, you know, we did some of these things while I was a GM.
Really?
Dave, had I ever mentioned this to you? The assembly line was all screwed up, you know. So the CEO comes up to me over lunch and he said, Bob, how about taking a look at this thing? Well, of course, I got that baby humming along in no time at all.
Oh, I bet.
Using these solid, total quality management techniques. And we had a threat, too. I mean, by then, old Lee was over at Chrysler. Even if Lee Iacocca isn't a threat, I don't know who is.
That's good. That's right.
Jawohl. Production lines. Your American production lines are truly remarkable. This reminds me of reports that I had received from our very able Mr. Spear on our own belated production line. Well, however, we did not have this how you say, total quality management. This perhaps explains why we lost.
Could we please get back to the subject? Are we going to update this threat estimate or not?
Update. Let me tell you for the last time. Nothing has changed in KGB headquarters. Nothing has changed in the Gulag. Nothing also has changed with the fraudulent borders which were established in 1945. First, we begin at the beginning. The solution to all our problems begins with the unfinished business in Mitteleuropa, in Central Europe.
But hasn't Mr. Gorbachev started this with his announcement of force reductions? What impact will they have?
Bear with me, please. You are obviously here far more naive than ever I could have realized. Don't you understand? Mr. Gorbachev threatens the very essence of the process of renewal of Western civilization. He threatens competitive strategies. He threatens this total quality management.
That's right.
Gentlemen, please. Please. Mr. Gorbachev will effectively shut off the primordial, life-breathing flow of funds from this building to those true patriots out there, those few true patriots who understand what must be done. The patriots at megalithic technologies, colossal dynamics, incredible business machines.
Doctor, wait a minute. That's an industrial base issue, nothing to do with the threat. In fact, my staff tells me you are on a retainer with those very same firms. Is that so?
Gott in Himmel! Who has told you this? How do you know? We shall see that these persons who violate these special access arrangements that I have with those patriots will be true and well punished.
You see, Bob, just as I have told you so many times, your scientific advisory boards, your consultants, they are all tainted with contractors' money.
Wait a minute, please. You must understand the situation. You see, I have a personal responsibility to carry on the ideals of the past. I have a small laboratory on my ranch in a South American country, which I cannot name. There they are making truly heroic advances in medicine, in bioengineering. But I must have some money with which to sustain this work. It would be difficult to explain this to your legislature. You must understand, though, that the cost of the basic equipment, the basic specimens, it is very high.
Excuse me, gentlemen, but I must interrupt. Dr. von Kloski has an urgent phone call.
Not so fast. Who is it, Bench?
It is the Vice President-elect.
Mein Gott. Ha ha ha. Finally, a man who can understand my message. Gentlemen, I must go. My leader calls. Zahlen in der Welt befolgen ihren alten, schönen
Gentlemen, can we please get back to the matter at hand? I'll accept your claims that we still have a threat. I'll do without a COEA, a valid COEA. Anything to get out of here and get to the Deputy Secretary's office, where we will secretly finish off this year's budget, including most of these outlandish programs that come through the DAB.
Dave, you're meeting with the Deputy Secretary on the budget? Don't I get to go? I thought I was the acquisition executive and was involved in these top-level decision-making. Haven't I been invited?
I'm sorry, Bob. That's the Deputy Secretary's decision. Can't we get on with this? We've been here for 10 minutes now, and all I've heard is total quality management, could cost, and the Bolshevik menace. When are we going to discuss ARTL?
Wait a minute. I resent those remarks. Those slurs on the hard-working, 500 initiative-ridden people that I've got working on total quality management, on could cost, on all the great things.
You have 500 people working on this? That's wonderful, but why haven't I seen any results from your organization?
Well, Bob, it's a long story, but, such far-reaching, brilliant, synergistic ideas that you've come up with have been it's just been awful hard to flesh out.
You and I think right along the same lines. You haven't been peeking at my notes, have you?
Bob, I hate to interrupt, but I only have 5 minutes left before I have to meet with the Deputy Secretary.
Well, good, good. Let's have some more enlightening discussion over here from Mr. Clutson, and maybe we'll use up those 5 more minutes, Doctor Who, and you'll have to go. Then we can really get on here without civilian interference.
Well, Bob, I think Doctor Who has a point here. We ought to discuss the Artle before we leave. Tell me, Bob, now what is this thing? Is it a plane, a missile, a ship?
Well,
what is it exactly?
Well, Bob, you know, you really shouldn't trouble yourself with such details. You shouldn't be interested in what we're developing or procuring. You should simply confine yourself to the issue of how you buy what we want. You see, your job is to keep the money flowing.
Well, yeah, but General, I mean, what is the Artle? If I'm going to sign my name to a document releasing billions of dollars for a program, I ought to know at least what it's for.
Well, you know, not necessarily, Bob. You see, the Goldwater-Nichols Act really didn't intend to let you civilians know what we, who have been in war, need to meet the threat.
Civilians? War? Come on now, General. I mean, I was around with it at the big one. Jack was in the big one.
That's right. The two of us were there.
Dan Inouye. George Bush himself. Dan Quayle would have been there. He wasn't quite so young. So, I mean, don't talk to me about the big one and war and civilians. Let's get on with it. Tell me what the Artle is.
Okay, if you insist, I'll give you a short description of the Artle. It's our latest in a long line of force multipliers. This program...
Wait a minute, Joe.
...is...
Why are you briefing us on the Artle? You mean we're not going to hear from the program manager?
Well, as a matter of fact, we weren't planning to have the program manager brief today. You see...
Oh, I don't agree with that.
Well, the PMs have been complaining about all the damn briefings they have to give on their way up to this DAB council, and, well, we decided they wouldn't have to give any more briefings at all. In fact, under streamlining, we're looking hard at whether we even need program managers anymore.
Bob, I've got to insist on my rights. I insist on hearing from the program manager. I insist on hearing the truth, the unbiased, non-advocacy truth, which can only be given to us by the program manager.
Well, I think you're right for a change, Jack. Why, you know, I remember back when I was the vice president.
Please, gentlemen, can we get on with it? Can we hear a brief description of the Artle from the program manager?
Thanks, David.
Well, okay, we'll hear from the program manager. General, could you bring in the program manager?
Well, Bob, as a matter of fact, we do have him standing by. Could you call in Colonel Hitech for a brief review of his program, please?
Oh, here he comes now. Boy, he looks like a real winner, doesn't he? Bob, I'll tell you.
Dr. Costello, General Barrys, Doctor Who, and sir, the man sitting next to Dr. Costello, I don't recognize you. The gray badger, the silver-haired one there. Yes, sir, you. Sorry, sir, I don't...
Clutson, damn it. Jack Clutson. I'm Mr. TQM, quality, you name it, you old fool. Bob, I'll tell you, I'm sorry, I apologize, but you know it's really tough to deal with idiots like this when you got an IQ as high as mine.
Gosh, I'm awfully sorry, sir.
You ought to be.
I should have recognized you right away.
Right on, you're right.
But you know, you don't look at all like those pictures I've seen taken of you at the Model Installation Award ceremony.
You know, there's been a lot of that going on, Bob, I'll tell you.
And you sure look a whole lot better in real life than you did in that tape taken during your ethics briefing that you gave those old USDA folks.
Yeah.
By the way, I just watched that ethics tape down there in TWP Contractors Lounge this morning.
You really liked it, huh?
Dynamite stuff. Those contractor guys and I, we really enjoyed it.
Bob, can we get on with this dog and pony show? If I'm late for the meeting with the Deputy Secretary, Clyde will have given all the money to the Navy's acquisition programs. Needless to say, I have some very important programs of my own in Special Ops and Strategic Lift that I hope to get funded.
Well, I understand, David, but are you absolutely sure that I can't go?
I really think you ought to go.
Bob, I'm very sorry, but the Deputy Secretary has decided to limit attendance because of all the leaks we've had in the acquisition programs.
Well, okay, but Dave, I'd appreciate your letting me know what acquisition programs they are going to fund.
Yes.
I really do have to know things like this, so I
Yes.
don't get blindsided
That's
by,
right, Bob.
by the SAEs and Congress. So let me know as soon as you can, okay? Okay, Colonel, let's get on with this program. What do we call it now? What is it?
It's ARTL,
The
sir.
ARTL. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. ARTL is the Advanced Robotic Tank Liberator. My slides will be here in just a moment. The guys in the contractors lounge should be done with them by now. Oops. Oh. So let's tell you what. Start with that one right there. You Jeez, I tell you what, those contractors, they do it up right, don't they, huh? Well, sir, let me get on with this. This is a model program, gentlemen. It's been TQ'd. Could cost it. COEA'd. Caged. Cake. I'm sorry, Dr. Who, you're a cake. And yes, we've even used a value contracting approach.
That's your latest idea, Bob. That's great.
Could I have the first slide, please? Oh, excuse me. That was my vacation that the contractor paid for last year in Germany. That's the wrong slide. Could I have the next slide, please? That's an SDI kind of thing. And could I have the first ARTL slide, please?
What's the matter?
No, that doesn't appear like the ARTL slide. God damn it! That's a F-111. Give me an ARTL slide.
You really ought to talk to Christie about this. This is just an abdomination.
No. Put the slide up on the projection.
Come on, Colonel, let's get on with it.
Tell you.
Was that the ARTL?
I mean, put the slide. The slide's upside down. God damn it! Get the slide right back there. No, it's wrong. It's sideways. God, I tell you what, it's tough to get good help around here, but the contractors do as good as we can get anywhere, sir. I assure you of that. That's the ARTL slide. Now, let me get on with it here.
But Colonel, my detailed review of your program clearly suggests it is just another ploy to keep the light divisions in the force. Furthermore, my staff has reviewed the testing results today, has informed me that the system does not work as advertised. Now, what do you say to all of that?
Bullshit.
Well, listen.
How do you like that answer, David?
You know, guys, could someone just please tell me what this program, what this ARTL is supposed to do?
That's a good idea, Bob.
Yes, sir, I can. I'm sorry about the high-tech conference room just going to hell, but the contractors have furnished this this stealth version of the ARTL, sir. And I thought you might like to get a hands-on look at it for a few minutes and play a little touchy-feely there, and not too much feely and a lot of touchy. The ARTL program, sir, is so highly classified that no one in this room is cleared for all the portions of the program. It's a real bargain for the taxpayers at twice the price. Not only that, but it's a surefire way of stopping those dirty commie pinko bastards dead in their tracks right outside the gates of Moscow.
That's the Bishop version.
And if
Does
it
this
only
have
costs...
Visic in it?
Pardon me, sir?
Does it have Visic in it?
Oh, yes, sir. You bet it does.
Oh, good.
It only costs $50 million a copy. That, coupled with our proposed production run of 1,000 vehicles per year for 20 years, will sure do a lot to help the defense industrial base throughout our entire country. Just think of it. 2 for the price of 1. A great system for our guys holding back the communist hordes. And it'll also revitalize our entire defensive base. You can't ask for any more, in my opinion, sir. In brief, this system, which is air transportable in the new C-17, and it can be launched from the VLS system on our newest subs, is an advanced, epoxy-coated, stealthy, unattended aerial tank destroyer, which employs the latest in target identification and destruction techniques. It can hover deep above Soviet formations for periods up to 6 months. Once it senses and identifies a target of opportunity, tanks, BMPs, Russian troops, etc., it will use highly sophisticated techniques to absolutely destroy those targets. These techniques are so highly classified, I can't discuss them in this forum.
But it doesn't work. Testing results to date have shown that it doesn't work at all. Moreover, I question the requirement for this system.
Now wait a damn minute. You have no right to do that. No right to question that requirement. That's strictly a military matter. Now, Bob, my Joint Requirements Avoidance Committee, the JRAC, has given this program a thorough scrub. We validated the need for parallel efforts in each service, and I tell you, I've got all the chiefs foursquare behind me on this one.
But wait, what about the Sync's views?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. You see, we've just received this urgent, eyes-only message 5 minutes ago in the tank from General Pablum to Mr. Tuff. And as you can see right here, Bob, General Pablum states an urgent operational need for this capability. Now, Bob, surely you don't forget the personal briefing that General Pablum gave to you on Ardle at his Field War Headquarters last spring when you were over there?
Well, yeah, Dave. I do recall that. I recall the champagne and the caviar were really outstanding. Well, speaking of that, let's get on with this dab here. Let's get on with it.
I agree, Bob, because I've got to give another ethics briefing in about 20 minutes. You know, we really need to get on with it, and I'm ready to sign up for it right now. So what if it doesn't work? You know, we've never let that bother us before, have we?
You know, that's right. That is exactly right. It doesn't matter that it won't work in a time of war, Bob. It's still a good peacetime weapon. Isn't that right, Colonel?
Well, to be honest, the components do function perfectly in the laboratory. But when we put them all together and turn on the switch, it has a tendency to overheat and melt down.
I also understand there is a survivability problem, Colonel.
Well, Dr. Who, as a matter of fact, the present configuration is not survivable, but what the hell, neither are the soldiers. So,
That's right.
We are planning
point.
to develop a self-defense capability.
That's right.
We also intend to increase the quantity from 1,000 to 2,000 to allow for combat attrition.
That's a good fix.
Gentlemen, look, all of this we've heard may be true, but after all, this is the dab. Now, can't we be negative in a more positive way here? I say that we approve this program. Approve it. Approve. 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 Approve.
Alas, unfortunately, time does not permit us to show you these dab deliberations in their entirety. But I believe that you've seen enough to put to rest once and for all these scurrilous rumors that something is rotten in the Pentagon. And as the sun sets on my stewardship of this important office, I believe that you'll agree with me that we have truly left behind a legacy of dynamic, decisive action that will last for years to come. Thank you, and good night.